This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, a list of dates annually indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, September 11th, 2012. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public, is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Councilwoman Sherman.
Let us take the next few moments of silence to each seek in our own way whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Mayor Levine?
Here.
Councilman Prasad?
Here.
Councilman Regan? Councilwoman Sherman?
Here.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We are following along on our agenda. You can feel free to get them over here by our clerk. They're also on our website. They're associated resolutions and ordinances with it. We are now at item number 6. And one of the good pleasures we have is the swearing in of our police officers, our promotion and new officers. And it's warming to see all of your colleagues here to support you and your family and friends. So we'll hear from our chief, Larry Roberts, and I'm guessing Deputy Chief Richard Grammer, too, if you want to come over this way, Chief. Oh, you're right there. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I first want to welcome everybody here tonight for the swearing in of our recent promotions, the rank of lieutenant and sergeant, and for our new hires. But I first want to start tonight by thanking the governing body for all their support. When I approached them roughly about 6 months ago and told them that I wanted to start rebuilding the department, the rank structure, and new hires, they were very supportive, took it very seriously. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your support and dedication to the Franklin Police Department. I also want to thank, of course, the men and women of the department. Without them going out there every day, patrolling the streets, answering all the calls, the town wouldn't be as safe as it is. So I'm proud of each and every one of you. I appreciate all your support. I know the Deputy Chief echoes it the same. You go out there every day, and sometimes it's not an easy job, but you all do it in a very professional manner, and we're very proud of each and every one of you. We have some people here tonight that support us a lot, too. I know we have Chief Buckman from the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office. He's in the back, and we did invite the prosecutor, but he had a prior engagement. The prosecutor's office works hand in hand with us on a lot of cases, and they've been very supportive, so I want to thank them for coming out tonight. With no further ado, we'll get started. The first one I would like to call up is Lieutenant Kristen Durham.
I, Kristen Durham,
I, Kristen Durham,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully,
Impartially
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Lieutenant
Lieutenant
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I would just like to say a little bit about Kristen. She's a 17-year veteran of the police department, and we do reach a milestone tonight. Kristen will be the first female in the history of the police department to ever hold a command-level position. So that's a great accomplishment. We're very proud of her, and her new assignment, she'll be the commanding officer in the Administrative Services Division. Next, I'd like to call up Lieutenant Gregory Boylan.
I, Gregory Borland,
I, Gregory Borland,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and
established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Lieutenant
Lieutenant
of the Franklin Township Police
of the
Department
Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Greg is an 18-year member of the police department. He was a detective sergeant before this, and he will be the commanding officer, the lieutenant in the investigative division. And I also like to mention that all of our lieutenants that will be swearing in tonight did take advantage of the education. They all do hold master's degrees. With that being said, I'd now like to call up Lieutenant Darren Russo.
I, Darren Russo,
I, Darren Russo,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Lieutenant
Lieutenant
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Darren has 27 years on the department. Now, I said I wasn't going to say this, but I am. We don't have all night, so I can't go through all his accomplishments because we do joke that he is the greatest. But everybody probably knows Darren because he ran the street crime unit for a number of years, did a very good job at it. He really set the pace in there, and now he's going to be the commanding officer on the day shift. Next, I'd like to call up Lieutenant Mark Reiner.
I, Mark Reiner,
I, Mark Reiner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I
of
will support the Constitution
the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New
of the
Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
that I bear true faith and
that I
allegiance
bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and
established
to the governments
in
established
the United
in
States
the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all
of
the duties of
Lieutenant
Lieutenant
of the Franklin Township Police
of
Department
the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mark has 13 years on, and prior to this, he was a sergeant on afternoon shift, and he will be the commanding officer, the lieutenant, on the midnight shift. Now we'll go to the rank of sergeant, and I'd like to first call up Sergeant Jolanda Lacewell.
I, Jolanda Lacewell,
I, Jolanda Lacewell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United
and
States
in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Joy has 16 years with the department, and prior to making sergeant, she was a detective in the investigative division. She will now be a shift supervisor on the midnight shift. Sergeant Teddy Serra.
I, Teddy Sarah,
I, Teddy Sarah,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that
swear
I will support the
that
Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the
of
State of New
the
Jersey.
State of New Jersey,
And I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and
to the
allegiance
same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments
in the
established
United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people,
And that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly
all
perform
the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police Department
Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Teddy has 9 years with the department. Prior to making the rank of sergeant, he worked in the professional services division, and now he will be reassigned to the day shift in patrol. Now I'd like to call up Sergeant William Zarkowski.
I, William Zarkowski,
I, William Zarkowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And that I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Billy has 25 going on 26 years in the department. He was actually a classmate of myself and the deputy chief in the police academy. So we're very proud of him. Prior to making sergeant, he was a detective in the investigative division. He will now be assigned to afternoon shift in the patrol division. Now I'd like to call up Sergeant Brian Regan.
I, Brian Regan,
I, Brian Regan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And that I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police
of
Department
the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Brian has 15 years with the department, and prior to making the rank of sergeant, Brian, too, was a detective in the investigative division, also our evidence officer. He will now be assigned to the juvenile division as the detective sergeant in the investigative division there. Now I'd like to call up Sergeant Gregory Price.
I, Gregory Price,
I, Gregory
do
Price,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of
Constitution
the United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people,
And I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly
all
perform
the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police
of the
Department
Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Greg has 12 years with the department. Prior to making the rank of sergeant, he was in the investigative division in major crimes, and he will now be assigned to the midnight shift in the patrol division. I would like to now call up Sergeant Brian Stillwell.
I, Brian Stillwell,
I, Brian
do
Stillwell,
solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I
swear
will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of the
Constitution
United States
of the United
and the
States
Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I bear true faith and
and I will
allegiance
bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and
established
to the governments
in
established
the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
according to, under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly
all
perform
the duties of
all the duties of
Sergeant
Sergeant
of the Franklin Township Police
of the
Department
Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my
according
ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, buddy. You got it. Sergeant Stillwell has 24 years with the police department. Prior to making the rank of sergeant, he was a detective in the investigative division, and he now will be assigned to the patrol division on the midnight shift. With all the sergeants being sworn in, now we're going to do our new officers. Here in Franklin, we just hired 3 officers to add to the department with the retirements we had. So first, I would like to call up Officer Steve Elmeyer.
I, Stephen Elmeyer,
I, Stephen Elmore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey.
that I bear true faith and allegiance,
I will true
faith and allegiance
true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States
in the United
and-
in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
under the authority of the people.
and the authority of the people.
That I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
patrolman
patrolman
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
prior to joining the Franklin Township Police Department, Steve was an officer with the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Here in Franklin, when we advertise, we either like to hire alternate route candidates or officers that were pre-trained, so it saves us money and we don't have to pay for the training. So that's why alternate route and hiring from other departments saves us a lot of money. With that being said, I'd like to now call up Officer George Habis.
I, Georgia Beach,
I, Georgia Beach,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the
of
State of New Jersey,
the State of New Jersey,
that I bear true faith and allegiance
that I bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
patrolman
patrolman
of the Franklin Township Police Department
of the Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Prior to joining the Franklin Township Police Department, George graduated from alternate route, and he was hired by Flemington Borough, and now here in Franklin. And just a side note, George grew up here in Franklin, so he's a homegrown boy who's now joining the police department. And now I'd like to call up Officer Neil Patel.
I, Neil Patel,
I, Neil Patel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United
in
States
the United States
and in this state
and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
partially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
patrolman
patrolman
of the Franklin Township Police Department
Franklin Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Neil came to us, he worked as a Class 2 Special in Piscataway and Union City PD, and he will be the first Indian police officer ever hired here in Franklin, so we're very proud of Neil, and we wish him nothing but the best. With that being said, again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and supporting the police department. It was a proud night tonight with the promotions and the new hires. And again, just, thank you for all your support, because I know to the families, it's a tough job, and you don't always see the best side of life. And your support for the men and women of the department goes a long way. So again, thank you to everybody.
I have no credit.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Finally, congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
I'm done.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, why not, right? You're welcome.
Hold up, guys. Hold up. Hold up. Everybody, come back. Quick,
Try it again.
quick picture up front.
You guys gotta get your picture taken.
You got a photo op.
We can stand in the back. Supporting cast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can stand out of the way.
Go for the photo op.
No. I get back
You
there.
up, yeah, you're up there.
Sean's not gonna be able to.
You raised everyone of these.
I did raise a lot of it, that's for sure.
Okay, that's
You get most of it? No. I'll give it. Everybody's got the first side, please.
Come on over.
Yep, I'm coming over.
Oh, did they want us to move now?
You know what, Carl, I can sit back here.
Yeah. Whoa. I'm tired of standing.
What does that say about me?
It says that I can see over your head without you ducking down.
That's for sure.
Can you get it, George? Okay. All right.
Everyone say Chief Roberts.
Wow.
All right.
Said to Darren, I'm surprised you got
Good.
He hasn't worn a uniform in a long time.
Yeah.
Active.
Okay, good.
Make me stand.
Yeah, let's get down to one.
Nice job. Nice. What a sight.
Great job, Melissa. You got it.
Oh.
All right, that's good. Okay.
Darren, I got one. Hey, I'm going to do something. Thank you.
You guys are pretty good.
Yeah, right? Because it would be nice if we could fill it like that every council meeting. I don't think so. Yeah. And you're going to be constructive, you would be, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we are. Get together.
Congratulations.
No, we.
Just from my point of view,
Wait till you step into the dates, so happy.
There's medals for different things that I did. Yeah.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. Thank you.
Real quick, take a picture of kids up here before we hold up anymore. It's on, just the top one.
Not hard to pick out your son. You figured that, right? Figured that out really quick.
Get together, Darren. I know, but they want, Denise wants her picture. All right, everybody, look at me. Ready? No, ready.
I'm in the process, so you know, I obviously you know.
The oldest is class. This guy ain't more like mine.
Please, no.
How often do you have to have a planning board meeting at Rocky Hill? We're going to have less than that this year, I'll bet, the way things have been. Well, we were supposed to have one last Wednesday. It got canceled mainly because our printer tore the application apart, so they got the idea. Maybe we better do it. Yeah. We have a separate historic preservation commission. Yeah, you would. You would. Hey, if you stick around, you can get the Route 1 Regional Growth Study presentation that we're having. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can see Zoe back there and Bill Neary. In fact, I think we may be getting to do them next. They got moved up on the agenda. Oh, the Historic Commission is on us.
Like that. Maybe it's just warming up.
No, you're not. I've known you a very long time. No, you're not.
You have where's your script?
Okay, I'll find out in a moment. I'll ask Anne Marie or something. She keeps directing me. What do I hit to get the agenda?
Safari.
Safari?
Yes.
Oh,
And you've got a lot of tabs open.
I knew the Facebook news, and I couldn't put it together. So you came to watch us? Okay.
For our planning.
Well, you get it before.
No, I don't use it. I just like. Oh, why did you twist it?
Right. You never used the pencil?
In fact, I'm not even sure that I still have it.
You can just say hello before I walk out.
Hey, not Trump.
okay, appreciate that was a very good ceremony for us, for the town, for the officers. A couple milestones there, as mentioned by the chief. We're all very proud of our officers. They do us well. So at this point, we're at it would be item number 6 on the agenda, but we are having a presentation, which is at item number 11, council discussion item, Route 1 Regional Growth Strategy, Roadshow, and that's with Councilman Chase. So since guests here, do you want to make a motion to do that now, Dr. Chase? To amend the agenda?
So moved to move them up on the agenda,
Second.
and I'll introduce them a bit.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. And we appreciate it. Dr. Chase, please. Councilman Chase, sorry.
Yeah, I'm our representative to the Central Jersey Transportation Forum. In fact, I've been going to it for quite a few years, not since the beginning, but and I want to give you a brief description of the Central Jersey Transportation Forum's work, to introduce a study that was prepared by DOT as a result of the forum's ongoing discussions, and to introduce our presenter tonight, Bill Neary, who is 3 times mayor of East Brunswick and currently executive director of Keep Middlesex Moving. The Central Jersey Transportation Forum has been meeting since 1999 to address the concerns of municipalities in Mercer, Middlesex, and Somerset counties, focused especially on the Route 1 corridor, but also access to the corridor in an east-west direction. We, of course, are not on Route 1, but we're on Route 27, and if Route 1 coughs, Route 27 gets a cold. And we have our east-west communication, Easton Avenue, Amwell Road, Route 518 that we're concerned with. So we have meetings representatives from the 3 counties, municipalities, state agencies, and all manner of other stakeholders about 3 times a year to hear about developments on specific issues and discuss information. This is sponsored by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, the New Jersey Department of Transportation. So the forum's goal is to promote more integrated regional land use and transportation planning in order to achieve a better quality of life in the municipalities in the corridor. Of course, the trouble is that the DOT tends to be long on planning and short on funds for implementation. So they try to get us to plan to do what we can to deal with the situation. The Route 1 Regional Growth Strategy product was started 2004 to really look at the mobility needs in the corridor, especially Route 1 itself. And they've affected municipalities, counties, private sector stakeholders, and state agencies worked for some 6 years to come with a more sustainable economic and transportation strategy and vision for the region. The study was wrapped up in 2010, but the forum has formulated an action team to take up the task of trying to move these findings from the planning phase to the implementation phase, and that's why we're here tonight. The first task of the action team was to prepare a brief roadshow to highlight some of the key findings of the regional growth study and hopefully gather support for smart growth initiatives in the corridor. And I wanted to particularly thank the mayor for getting us on the agenda at the earliest possible council meeting, so I think this is one of the first presentations. And as I said, our presenter is Bill Neary, former 3-term mayor of East Brunswick and member on the planning board and executive director for Keep Middlesex Moving, so he knows both the municipal government and the transportation management. And we also have here Zoe Niederland, who's staff at the Delaware Raritan Planning Commission and really does a great deal of the work of the Transportation Forum. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Bill to address you.
Thank you, Councilman. Good evening, Mayor Levine, Deputy Mayor, members of the Township Council, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm really honored to be part of such an auspicious occasion tonight. Nothing like being here on 9/11 and show that the commitment to the first responders that the Township of Franklin has made. So I want to congratulate you for appreciating the efforts of the people who keep us safe. I also think it's perhaps a little bit, I wouldn't call it auspicious, but appropriate that if anybody traveled in central New Jersey today, they didn't move too quick this morning.
That's right.
Today was a problem. Today our arteries were clogged. Nothing moved. Anybody who wanted to get someplace, they couldn't get there too quick. My home in East Brunswick is 7 miles from my office in New Brunswick. That 7-mile commute lasts anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, give or take an average of a half hour either way. Today it took about an hour just to get up Route 18 and all the back roads and secret roads that I know. So I understand the need that we have in terms of transportation alternatives, and what we're looking at perhaps through a crystal ball in the future. So as part of the Central Jersey Transportation Forum and the efforts of the people who are on that committee for so many years and have spent so much time, I want to try and give a short presentation about what we're looking at. The Central Jersey Transportation put together a very brief and very quick overview of some of the issues we may be facing in the future. The first slide is, this slide I think says it all. We've all been stuck in these horrible traffic jams. This congestion, and especially, is even worse, like today when our traffic arteries are totally clogged up. And part of this problem that we face is because we have low-density residential housing. We have highway commercial development, and we have really no connection between people's homes, where they work, and where they shop. So how do we all get from place to place? We get in our car. These are the current conditions. It may be hard to tell the colors because the picture shows basically from New Brunswick to Trenton along the Route 1 corridor. That's where the next growth is going to occur in New Jersey over the next several decades. If you can look closely at the colors, the red, I'll go back one more, Zoe. The red lines are where the roads are already congested. The orange means they're nearly congested. And the yellow means they're almost congested. The green lines, which are few and far between, means that the people have not figured out those shortcuts yet, but they're working on it. And Dr. Chase had mentioned a Route 1 study, and this study revealed that 13% of the region's roadways are already congested during peak periods, with another 23% nearing congestion. This map here shows in orange and red that those roads where the volume of vehicles exceeds the capacity of the roadway during the peak periods already today in 2012. Just think about it. Almost 40% of our roadways are moving toward congestion during peak periods. Along with this, it was determined through the studies that 1/2 of the land in this region is developed already. Another 1/4 is environmentally constrained and hopefully is therefore undevelopable. But that means 1/4 of the land in this region remains available for future development. The study revealed that today the region has 1.8 jobs for every housing unit that we have. Almost 2 jobs for every house. What would happen in the future if these development patterns stay the same? We'd have the build out like this. It shows a roadway network that would look based upon a full build out of existing municipal zoning ordinances in the corridor. All of the red and orange roads are congested during peak periods. Everything. The big one on the right is mostly Franklin Township. 93%, nearly 93% of our region's roadways will be congested. 93% means you don't move. And why would this happen? It's because the analysis showed that a full build-out of developable land in the corridor is going to result in approximately 480,000 new jobs in the future, but only 37,000 new housing developments, or housing units. There'll be almost 13 new jobs created for every new housing unit to be constructed in the region. And how do the overwhelming majority of these employees get to their jobs? They have to drive by car. Some of them from housing that were located many miles away. All right, personal foul. Stop the clock, blow the whistle. This can't be allowed to continue. Something has to change, or we will choke on the traffic congestion, and we will stifle any chance of sustainable economic growth and development in the future. But can we stop, and can we take steps to change this future? I think the answer is yes, we can. The answer is yes, we can. But unfortunately, we're never going to be able to build our way out of congestion. We can't build new roads, new interchanges, because it's just not practical, nor is it financially feasible. The answer lies in our ability to coordinate land use and transportation policies and decisions into the future. The slide shows the existing conditions, this frightening build-out condition, and what we believe to be a viable, sustainable alternative resulting from a Route 1 study, an alternative that would result in much less traffic congestion. If you see all the red on the left, if it's all built out in Franklin Township, every road is congested. If you go with the alternative, with some housing and zoning changes, you can see less congestion on some of your back roads and your quieter farm roads. You've done a great job in terms of farmland preservation, and you've preserved a great deal of acres in Franklin Township, but there's still room for great development in the future. Well, this is basically the route from New Brunswick to Trenton. It's almost parallel to Route 1. And I know your town is not part of Route 1 corridor, but like Councilman Chase said, you're affected by it as much as anybody else. Like I said, I live in East Brunswick. We're not on Route 1 either. But when Route 1's blocked up, so is Riders Lane. We are showing here how this graphically, the 2 major recommendations that came out of the Route 1 study. One of them is a development and redevelopment primarily targeted to mixed-use centers, which will help correct the imbalance between the jobs and the housing. And this next one here, the slide you see, is a bus rapid transit system. It's called the BRT, which is operating along Route 1 and it will operate along the major intersecting highways. And you can all see this slide, approximately 40 centers and nodes that are designated for targeted growth. That's what those dots are for. As you're aware of, our central hub, I know you're in Somerset County, but Middlesex County is New Brunswick, which has already been designated a transit village and a transit development. This is reflected on the map, as well as some of the other future plans that are going through this region. The blue and green lines do reflect the projected bus rapid transit service. And I think it's important to understand what a bus rapid transit service is. It's not just a bus. And we'll get more into that, but I think that what you need to do is develop a strategy of locating housing that's going in close proximity to this new job growth. The densities that will support mass transit and support a much smaller percentage of people who have to drive a car every single day. Put the development along transit routes and along the areas of park and rides, other alternative transportation modes. This is kind of an idea of what a mixed-use center will look like. I know in Franklin Township, you've already seen something like this, very much like the Berry Street Commons, which I think is very transit accessible. And you can also see, is the Summerfield in the next one? Maybe not. Summerfield's another place that you've made some great advancements in your housing plans. Unfortunately, that's not yet accessible for transit usage. Hopefully, it will be in the future. This is a bus stop and a shelter. And so those are looking to take advantage of the bus rapid transit New Jersey Transit has been working on, hopefully will develop. It'll change dramatically if you make this into a BRT stop. The BRT is cleaner and more efficient than most buses. It has a special kind of queuing where it's not blocking up traffic like regular buses. It has a dedicated spaces and parking for people to be able to get on the bus. A BRT is designed to move traffic much quicker. It has very limited spots along the way, but high usage for mass transit. We almost call it like a train almost for buses. So the light rail was one of the things that would be really nice, but that seems so far in fantasy. A BRT seems like a much more closer to reality along Route 1. Another recommendation that was made by the Route 1 study was to improve our connectivity for motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians in order to minimize the need that they have to get on the highways every time they want to go someplace. But unfortunately, for many of our roadway systems that we've developed in suburbia over the years, we look more like a corn maze than an efficient roadway network. I think that's what most of our towns look like from up above. So what we're asking you tonight, if the municipalities in the Route 1 corridor make these changes, what would be the benefits? We'll have more housing closer to the projected jobs. We'll have sustainable economic development and good jobs that way, because people will have not to drive an hour or 2 hours to get to their job every single day. It means better transit means a less reliance on cars, which, as you know, would be better for our air quality, our global warming situation. Pedestrian and bicycle-friendly communities, we know, have higher property values and higher usage of people who have the ability to bicycle and walk. And obviously, the less congestion, less pollution is better for our future and for our children. Well, we're all part of a team. We have to work together. We have to look at the future and see what our towns can do. And so tonight, the road show is asking each municipality in Route 1 to at least consider in the region taking 5 actions to promote smart growth and a sustainable future in the corridor. Just stay involved with the Central Jersey Transportation Forum. You have been for many years. Councilman Chase has been at so many meetings and added so many things to our discussions. I urge you, as a council, to support his efforts and work with him. You can adopt a smart growth resolution. I look at the portraits on the wall, and you have 3 of our former presidents, and that other guy is not a president, so I don't know why his picture's up there, but I guess I can figure it out. But adopt the smart growth resolution is something that we have prepared for you. You can look at, discuss, and see if you'll do that. Just to say that you're interested in smart growth. We need your leadership in this. Remember the economic development potential for it. Also look at adopting a resolution for implementing smart growth, and look at the possibility of improving your land use. Review your key properties. One of the things that I think is great about this slide that's interesting is every one of those housing areas, in the center of it is mass transit. You want a railroad property in the middle of every street. I think that's a good investment potential, okay? And improve your connectivity. Look at how the towns can connect together. Look at its possibilities when you're approving of a development or future growth. It's got the higher density and the connectivity. Make it possible for sidewalks. The smart growth concept and the streets, the Complete Streets program of the state of New Jersey right now is promoting that type of work. At KMM, we were very active in working on the Eastern Avenue corridor. The Eastern Avenue corridor has sidewalks in parts, bad sidewalks in others. We're working with St. Peter's Hospital to try and encourage them when they're doing their expansion to make that a little bit better. The part that goes from, I guess it's World's Fair Drive toward Boundbrook is really not connected to anything except interstate highways above you and no sidewalks below you. So we're working with the state DOT to try and make that Eastern Avenue an example of where people don't have to necessarily sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic if they can ride their bicycle to get to big employment areas like New Brunswick every day. It's not a bad idea. So review the possibility of improving your connectivity. Think about it when you're looking at your plans. Think about it for your zoning. And look in the future. Understand that we're not all in this together separately. We're all in this together. Our borders do connect to everything else. I want to thank you for giving us the time. I appreciate the efforts that you're all working on, and keep looking into the future for what makes Franklin Township even better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
And I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I really don't know much. Zoe's going to have to answer any of the technical stuff, okay?
We do have a handout that has 5 things that the municipality could consider, and also a model resolution that NJDOT put together for you all to alter as you see fit. But it's an idea of how you could express support for smart growth.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Kramer.
So one of the things that has in the past got in the way of smart growth, in my opinion, is COA. It's really forced us to do things that we haven't wanted to. Not so much in the last few years, but that's the economy that's actually come to the rescue of come to the rescue of
And the
increased
disappearance of COA for a while with nobody knows
Right.
where it is. Absolutely right.
So I don't know what the future of that is, but if we can petition the state to be thinking about this with future COA, I'm not saying we get rid of attempts to increase affordable housing, but that we need to be thinking all sides of that. And so I employ you to try to send that message
Well, I
in
think
that direction.
I think one of the downsides of this, sir, is perhaps COA has to be such a critical part of it. That when we're talking about the 480,000 jobs that are going to be in this area, it's going to have all kinds of income levels. It's going to have all kinds of people who are going to need these kinds of jobs. It's not going to just be the executive type work that has to be done. It's going to be other kinds of jobs. So when you're looking at smart growth, you're looking at all kinds of levels of housing. And I think one of the restrictions that we have right now in our region is a lot of the exclusionary zoning is causing some of these problems to develop. And that's what's going to cause some of the problems we're going to be facing in the future. Because what we don't want to have, unfortunately, is something that we're probably going to need in some of our communities. Because I think that's the future that to look at. The big picture is affordable housing is a critical component of the whole thing. Whether it can be adjusted and made possible so people don't have the negative connotations of it, that's, I think, a leadership part of the problem that we have to face as a state.
Well, it's not the connotations that I'm worried about. It's that we are often forced to put in densities that we don't want to put in. And that's my point.
I agree with you. Being forced is one of the problems, and I think that's one of the issues that we all face at the forum and in our own municipalities, is how do we make that balance? And I think you have a good point there. That's something we have to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Sherman.
To build a little bit on what Councilman Kramer said, if indeed you are correct that there will be 13 jobs for each household, I mean, that is going to create an enormous housing boom in this area. So there has to be a great deal of planning, and I would imagine that we need to address it in our master plan. Hopefully, Councilman Chase will take that to heart, and I'm sure he already has, knowing who he is, and that has to be woven into our future plans for this township, how to deal with it. You want to have people near their jobs, and yet you'll have this enormous growth in housing that is necessary, and how is that going to affect our community?
Well, I think if you're looking at the demographic projections that's going on right now, mass transit for the younger generation is a lot more than suburban people like me. And I think they're looking for transit alternatives that they haven't looked for in the past. And I think those type of housing could provide a different type of lifestyle than the McMansions that we saw in the 1970s and 80s. And I agree, the master plan has to look at the concept of that. But I think the really issue is the municipalities themselves don't want to be an island by themselves. They don't want to make the necessary changes and do that type of stuff and then be burdened with the additional problems with that. It should be a regional type of thing. And the issues we run into at the forum, and as a former mayor, is how do we make our town what we want it to be to fit into the big puzzle, and that's really the complicated part of the whole thing. And you're absolutely right. Your master plan revisions might answer these questions and might address everything and still not solve the problem if nobody else goes along with it.
Well, that's true.
And I think that's one of the issues. As long as you're proactive and progressive in your approach, Councilman, you had something to add to that, but I think that's the vision that you have to look at, how we can all look at this as a big regional problem.
Yeah, that's a huge issue. I just, one other quick question. The fuel, obviously Franklin is not going to, well, in my mind, we're not going to have a rail system in Franklin. So the buses are, to me, a wonderful alternative, and I hadn't heard of this plan, and I like the idea. But what is the fuel that these buses will have? Are we going to be doing a lot of polluting, or is there an alternate, type of?
That's
still too far in the
conjecture.
future.
Yeah.
Nothing has been discussed. Okay.
We need to get our, what's it called, the flux capacitors, like they had in Back to the Future, and throw the garbage in, it makes it work fine. There you go.
I like that. Okay, so I'm writing that down right now.
I don't know what that's going to be, but hopefully, we
Yes,
found some
hopefully.
alternatives there.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Chase?
Well, I just want to comment that I think we have for a very long time tried to put our multi-unit housing along Route 27 where people can take the bus, in fact, take the bus right into New York City. And even I take that bus into New York City when I need to go, and I see people who are traveling from just down Route 27 up into New Brunswick. One thing I know from Central Jersey Transportation Forum meetings is that New Jersey Transit, of course, has been planning how to increase service to the Route 1 corridor, and one thing is to have a bus from New Brunswick down to, say, the new Princeton Hospital and the vicinity of the West Windsor train station and the job opportunities in that area. I suggested, can't you take the first jog out 27 and then cut over to Route 1 so you pick up more people from Franklin? They said, no, we don't want to compete with our friends in the suburban bus line that's up 27, so people would have to take it into New Brunswick and then out on that route. But at least this would offer some increased possibilities for people to get to jobs without having to drive a car. Another thing we have to push for is to increase the Dash bus line that runs between the New Brunswick station and the Bound Brook station, but by way of, it was really intended mainly to go to the employment opportunities out in the Davidson Avenue area, but particularly as Summerfields gets developed, to jog a little farther and provide an opportunity for people living there to take a bus to one end or the other of this line, or to job opportunities in the Davidson Avenue area. As far as the development we've had and COA, essentially what we've done, to meet our COA obligations has been to assure low and moderate income housing in developments that were going to happen anyway. Some of them were originally scheduled to be senior citizen, adult community developments, and then when that got overbuilt and the legislature acted to allow developers to flip them to general use, that unfortunately happened to us. But we have been, through RPM, developing a lot of, and Leewood, a lot of housing, much of which is affordable, but not all, close to Route 27, within walking distance of Route 27. In fact, in walking distance of the suburban transit bus terminal on Route 27. And I hope to do more of that, because one of our perpetual problems is the Hamilton Street Business District, which just doesn't get enough business. And to me, the answer to that is more housing, multi-unit housing. I mean, to the extent that we have more housing, have more multi-unit housing and mixed-use housing within walking distance of Hamilton Street, build up the population that can use Hamilton Street business, again, without having to take their cars. So those are just thoughts about where we've been and what our plans are now along the general lines that you've put forward.
Well, thank you. I just briefly want to finish up by saying some of the things you brought up is New Jersey Transit obviously gets a great deal of federal support. And the new federal reauthorization that was just passed by Congress a couple months ago actually has not done anything to seriously increase funding for mass transit. But New Jersey Transit, in a very progressive and innovative way, created the first new bus line in many years. And they did it starting in New Brunswick, and it goes down Route 1. The 655 goes to the Princeton Regional Hospital in Plainsboro. And the final part is, at KMM, we are the Middlesex County Transportation Management Association. We're a nonprofit private organization working on a lot of these programs. Somerset County, you have RideWise. RideWise is your TMA here. Donna Allison, the director over there, and I work on so many things together. So when you're talking about the DASH and the DASH working with the Middlesex County Transportation Assistant, we're working together in a lot of ways. So anything you need from her or from us, we're open to any suggestions and assistance we can provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nana. Thanks, Mayor Neary, former mayor of East Brunswick. Yeah. And, on a personal note, you were very good. When I first became mayor, Mayor Neary called me into his office at the Transportation to discuss that with me. That's very kind of you. I think you won an award for years of service from the League of Municipalities.
Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah, they're on my wall in my office in my home, and my office and the home is between the laundry room and the garage, okay? I say the ego has landed. It's really nice, you know what I mean?
And hope I still have this right. If I give away family secrets, you were the ice cream king in East Brunswick?
I owned a Dairy Queen for 25 years.
Okay.
And that's what I did, exactly right. I knew everybody in town as Medium Pineapple Sunday, so it was easy to become elected as the mayor. It was really not a challenge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, so at this point, since we have someone who will be speaking to us, was going to be speaking to us in executive session. Usually our executive session is at the end of the meeting. Executive session is where we meet, council meets privately for areas of litigation, personnel such as that, and when the object of that meeting, the executive session, no longer needs to be kept confidential. The minutes will be made public. But because we have to speak to someone today, I'm going to ask if we can have an amendment to move our executive sessions to now. So you can stay here. We're going to go to that room. Hopefully it'll be pretty quick, and we'll be out again shortly. So there's a resolution calling for executive session as follows: acquisition of open space property, Terhune property, and litigation, E&J Equities. Is there a motion? Well, let's do this first. Is there a motion to amend the agenda for executive session at this point?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. That just amended the agenda so we could vote on it now. So is there a motion for executive session for the items I mentioned listed on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on the resolution for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. We're going to go into executive session. Like I said, this is unusual, just the circumstances for today. I know I've often said before, hopefully this will be short, but hopefully it will be short. We'll be back here shortly. I think the taping will continue.
The rudest thing I've ever seen in my life, man, sorry.
Okay. So, and we will be back shortly. And the reason for it is that we've got to be hearing from someone who can only be around this time, but we'll be back. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Voted to go
Seconded.
in for the areas of, I got to be technically correct here.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's okay. Acquisition of open space property, Terhune property, and litigation E&J equities. Moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. When we were in executive session, so as not to take too long, we only did acquisition of open space property, Terhune property, and at the end of the meeting, we'll go back and do the litigation E&J equities. So we are at item number 6, Mayor's Report. A couple little things I just wanted to bring forward for everyone, because this is important. The next meeting will not be on Tuesday, September 25th, as it ordinarily would be. It will be on Monday, September 24th. That's the day before. In our Franklin Times newsletter, there was a slight error in there regarding elections. So, slight is however you want to phrase it. So anyway, we will be sending out a postcard to everyone with the correction. And you can certainly look on our website and get all the relevant data on there. And relevant is Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th, 2012, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Look for your sample ballot also. And I'm going to, I said let's jump to public discussion. I just want to hit one point, actually one or two real quickly, in addition to that. And then I can come back to it. Just because I wanted all of us to be here on this one, I want us to all be on the same agenda. There was a meeting held in Edison, hosted by Tony Risigliano of Edison, of Building 1, New Jersey. And the thing was for the suburbs to get our share of funds for education, police, and such as that. A lot of it flows to the cities, and a lot of places like us, I pointed out, where we're technically wealthier because we're in Somerset County, but we get almost a third of our children free and reduced lunch in school, so our funding doesn't quite match with what we've got. There was a gentleman, he was Deputy Director of White House Intergovernmental Affairs, Jay Williams. He's a former mayor, Youngstown, Ohio, so he could sympathize with us. And he said he will look at that when the federal items come through him. There's a follow-up September 30th, Sunday, 4 p.m. It'd be good if many of us could be there, follow up, make our point. Dr. Presley of the Board of Education was there also. So I think that's important, again, trying to share initiatives. I will, because I thought that was important, I'll come back to a couple other things after the public discussion, since that was so requested. Deputy Mayor, did you want to interject before we go?
No, I'll just make mine during the regular council comments, but ask the clerk, when will the postcard on the election stuff go out?
By the end of the week.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. So, again, a juxtaposition of agenda. Is there a motion to put the public discussion item now?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Okay, we're going to be open for public discussion. As is our policy, every person can come up once per meeting. We have 5 minutes. We ask you to put your thoughts into. It's being timed. When you hear a tone go off, that means 3 minutes has elapsed. When you hear multiple tones go off, 5 minutes has elapsed, and we will ask you to wrap up your thoughts. We don't have yielding of time. If we can answer your question within those 5 minutes, we will be glad to, or shortly thereafter, we will. If there's any follow-up, well, one of us will, you'll know who will get back to you. And with, please, when I ask you to come up to the podium, give us your name and address. Please note we're being audio and video recorded. And I guess that does it. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest to the public. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand when I recognize you. Come to the podium and give us your name and address, please. Ms. Saba?
Good evening. Manija Saba, 146 Emerson Road, Somerset. First, I wanted to thank Mr. Warnlocker, who I went to his office. Actually, Deputy Mayor was there too, and Mr. Warnlocker helped me to understand the issue of the fire hydrants much better than I understood, and all of this time nobody has explained it so well to me. And beside that, the good news is that I called my insurance agent and they said, "Oh, you are good, you are within the within the distance." But at least I can tell other people about that. The other thing, the public comment section, Mayor, you just made a comment. I was wondering before, when I've been told that my 5 minutes is up, that in the middle of it, other people have been responding, had a colloquy with me. And I was wondering, oh, that was not 5 minutes. Maybe people need to stop and talk after I'm finished with my 5 minutes. I take my 5 minutes, and then people kindly respond. And people responses are always appreciated, but I didn't know that they are taking from my time, from public time. Please don't do that to anybody else. So now that I know the rules, so I can speak up about it. The other thing that for the third time this summer, I have gone and checked the bridge over the canal at the end of the Mott Lane. It was supposed to be finished in June. Nothing is done and still is not working. And actually, it was funny that they were talking about sidewalks and bike paths and all that. And it's the only bike path we had. We don't have even sidewalk around this area. And this has not been working for a long time. The bridge has not been able to have, people have not been able to have access to it. So for my walk, I had to go to Boundbrook and start walking from there and coming back. And I don't understand. I think somebody needs to really have a good explanation for why this has not been done. The other thing, I was just talking, and I realized that there is a discussion about sewage authority, and Franklin Township becomes owner of sewage authority. Is that discussion been going on? I haven't been paying close attention to the council before. I don't know if it has been discussed or not, but I would like to know about what's going on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public who would wish to speak? Yes, sir.
She asked us not to talk, so we're not talking.
I am done. If there is any time left and anybody wants to talk, it's fine.
Well, you
But
have to
nothing
give us
beats me-
permission now, because we're not going to start taking up your time.
No. I said, let me finish. Let me take the time that I want to ask question, and then if you want to ask me, and then I have a colloquy with you then. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
We'll respond after the public
when we
discussion
do our
is over.
comments.
Yeah.
Come on up, yeah.
Yes, sir, come on.
Steve Holzinger, 89 Sydney Place. And I only have one subject, is that true? I can only talk about one subject?
No, as much as you can fit in 5 minutes.
Because I would have loved to get in that transportation subject when they were talking about my bus line, the Dash bus line, which I run. I'd love to get in that discussion, but that will take too long. I really have the same question as the young lady before me about the sewage authority. I've heard rumors that was being taken over by the township, and again, to me right now, they're just rumors, but I would like to know the answer. And I'd also like to know if anyone up there knows why authorities were formed. Why sewage authorities, water authorities, why were they formed? Political Science 101.
You want me to answer that question?
If you can.
You have to ask, can we answer in your 5 minutes?
I don't care.
Okay.
The answer is generally they were formed, especially by developing municipalities like Franklin, because there was a need to develop out infrastructure and to have a board that focused just on that development.
Okay, that is probably fairly incorrect. Authorities were formed.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, and in the opinion of Political Science 101.
Okay, wow. Which I took
They
at
were
one point in
formed
time in
to
life.
depoliticize essential services. That's why they were formed, to be sure that things that need to be replaced and fixed were done on an as-needed basis, not because Joe Blow lives there and he complains all the time, or not because he knows somebody. In essence, authorities were created to be fair to all residents equally, and in essence, to promote public health and safety. If you don't have the right people running an authority, your public health and safety is in grave danger. Grave danger. And the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've lived in Somerset, in Somerset for going on 38 years. Never had problems with the sewers. God forbid the day we have them, because it could get bad. I've seen other authorities taken over by the township, and they fell apart. Their systems fell apart, and it was not pretty. I've seen others that was taken over by the township, and they did very well, in fairness. But as a extremely concerned citizen, I would like to know if something's going on, if that talk has started.
Okay, I think Deputy Mayor Kramer has insight.
So that has been, over the years, that has been often rumored. There are times that council brings it up amongst ourselves. One of the advantages of it is money and saving money, and that's always something that we would do. But did you see us, did you follow us when we considered letting a private institution take over our water system? We had public hearings on that. We had a lot of experts on that. We had our accountant on that. That same kind of process is going to happen if we were to do the sewage authority. So there would be ample time. This council, and I'm trying not to take up too much of your time, but this council has a great record of whenever we do that, we have a special meeting devoted towards something like that and do it in many steps, giving public the opportunity for that. So that's my answer.
Well, that's fair. I will say that is fair. But you mentioned money, and money is what worries me. When you have an authority, if it's run properly, and everyone's doing their job, they accumulate a surplus. Now, that's not just money sitting there to spend on anything. That's money, if you have a catastrophe, they can fix it. They don't have to borrow the money. They already have it. So that's the thing that worries me, because one of the towns that didn't go so well, when they were taken over by the township, all their money was spent, and some of their best guys were mowing lawns. That's the kind of things that concern me. I've lived here for 37 years. God willing, I'll be here 20 or 30 more. And I'd like them to all be pleasant.
I hope so.
And that's it. I thank you for your time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Yes. Hi.
Susan Goldie, 281 Abbey Drive. I came here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the Franklin Inn. I'm sure that Councilman Kramer and Councilman Chase know very much about the Franklin Inn, but I need to know that all of you know how important this historic resource is. I could tell you the history of the Franklin Inn in 5 hours, or give you a few things in a few minutes. But this is arguably, it's not just another old building. This is arguably one of the most historic, or the most historic building in Franklin Township. The original part of it was a two-room farmhouse built by a Cornelius Van Loo, and he died in 1777. And then it was occupied by his wife and his family. It was built in 1752. It was not just in the crossfire of the American Revolution, it was in the crosshairs between Bound Brook and Princeton, between the Watchung Hills and Princeton. It is rumored that General Cornwallis stayed at the Van Loo homestead when they were in encampment in what is now Colonial Park. So this story tells the history of Franklin Township, from its earliest Dutch settlement and farming days to the American Revolution, and then it was a prosperous farm, so it was expanded a bit. And but when the canal came through, somebody added onto it, and it was made into an inn and a tap room, and that operated until Prohibition. You can touch history when you go upstairs and see the rooms that were numbered for the people who were staying at the inn, and when you go to the attic and you see the partitions where people stayed there too. You can touch history also when you see this damage claim filed by Anne Van Loo for damages caused by the British Army to her property. And I have copies of that. It's very, very moving to see that. Also, this building tells its story from the inside. It retains a tremendous amount of what they call historic fabric. And of course, it suffered in the floods, but it has survived, and it is worthy of preserving. It stands in two historic districts, the East Millstone Historic District and the Millstone River Scenic Byway. It's in the nexus of heritage and ecotourism venues. There's nearby access to the DNR Canal, the canal Mr. Wright, Councilman Wright, do you know where the Franklin Inn is? On Amwell Road?
He's having an allergy.
He's having a sneezing fit.
Okay. The towpath, the trails, a historic village of Millstone, and a bridge tender's house. It's within walking distance of Colonial Park, Mettler's Woods, Blackwell's Mills, and other sites of interest. The inn is documented in the Historic American Building Survey published in 1940, and has had an historic structures report. If it's rehabilitated, this building would have the ability to sustain itself because it operated as successfully as a used bookstore. We all know the environmental issues of the land surrounding it, but we only need about less than a quarter of an acre. Studies have been done, and this land may not be as problematic as some people think it is. But if remediation is needed, let's get it done. If testing is needed, let's get it done. We can get the funding, but it's time that we need to raise the funds and get this project underway. We need communication, cooperation, and a dose of common sense to do it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, Deputy Mayor Kramer?
So if Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked over the lantern in Franklin, which actually never happened in Chicago, but let's say it happened in Franklin, and all of Franklin were on fire, the first place I would save would be Rockingham, and the second place I would save would be the Franklin Inn. The Cornwallis story is enough that this is near and dear to my heart. There are only 3 structures still standing where Cornwallis had his headquarters in the United States. So that is a very important thing to me. But you do mention the environmental issues, and that is what we are wrestling with. The Land Use Committee has instructed the manager to instruct the attorney to look into this, and I think that's probably as far as I should say at this point, unless you have other things you can say.
No, other than I believe that I prepared a memorandum that outlined all of the environmental issues. I think I prepared a version of it that I told the manager, and I believe I told the councilman that could be shared with Ms. Goldie or anybody else. I've had conversations with Peter Lanford. In fact, I spoke to Peter this morning, and he and I are going to sit down. I'm not sure what role Peter plays here, but I've been asked to talk to him, and of course, I always rely on Peter's good judgment. But we've spent some, I think, $30,000 in environmental reports. There are 8 or 9 areas of concern that ring the building. So we're just trying to work through those issues.
We were well aware of the reports, but the thing is, what are we going to do about it?
That's,
Well,
the
the problem is that the problem is we don't own the property.
Well,
And that's.
we've
the
always had a
concern
very
is-
good relationship with the Ankas.
It's not a question of having a
they're
good relationship
willing
with
to sell
them. It's a question of, and here's the issue, kind of the overall issue, not to get into too much of the specifics. The overall issue is that there are not only the issues that just ring this little building, there are issues all over that property. What the concern that the township has is that the township can't simply subdivide off the problem because the property is the property. So our concern would be how much of the liability we could be exposed to if in fact we were to buy part of the properties. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not ways to do this, and we're trying to work through those ways. But that's the conundrum with this property. The problem is that the 5 4,000-gallon tanks that are within 20 feet of this property are just part of the problem. The problem is that there are significant environmental issues all across the Anchor property from what we can tell. So, we have to try to figure out how it is that we dance between all of those issues and not leave the township exposed, because the problem is this: if we buy that property and we don't protect the township, if the Ankas walk away from their property, and I'm not suggesting they are, but we always have to lawyer for those possibilities, the good taxpayers of the township would be left as the deep pocket that would be responsible, could be responsible if it's not done correctly. So we're just trying to, and we're not, and this is not saying that we've reached a conclusion on any of these issues, we're just trying to, the testing was part of it, the more testing that was done was part of it, and I think more testing needs to be done because we don't know what has, the problem is just from geography, as you know, there's the underground tanks that are a concern, there is the inn, and there is the canal, and all indications is that everything kind of flows towards the canal, so that would put the, put the inn in that issue. So we're just, and once again, I'm just going by what I've seen in environmental reports so far, and we're kind of working through those issues, Mayor. So that's.
But bear in mind, we're only
I'm
interested in the small corner of
Yeah, but
that.
that.
Okay, I'll let you, okay. yeah.
No, and by the way, we understand that.
Okay, and thank you very much, Ms. Goldie. Anyone else who hasn't spoken would like to speak from the public? Gentleman down that, no, okay.
That's Carl.
I know.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Seeing no one else coming up for a public session, I suggest we close the session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Motion is carried. Public session is closed. Going to go back to the agenda. We'll do mayor's report, which will, for the most part, substitute for my council comments, unless something else comes up. So just going back on that point, that Building 1, to me, that becomes important, Building 1, New Jersey. I'll give everyone info, even the public can come and show your support. I just would like us to get our extra share of education, police dollars, it's an initiative we can all share. And today is, the date of the meeting is September 11th, and my mug is our fire district, actually Fire District 1. They had a ceremony right before here. I couldn't stay for the whole thing at St. Matthias for 9/11. The firefighters, it was very good, something we will all never forget, hopefully. So it stays in our minds for all time. I told you about the change of meeting schedules. The Spring Hill Assisted Living on DeMott honored Assisted Living Week this past week. Father Doug of St. Matthias was there and told me they are going to celebrate their 50th anniversary of St. Matthias in town. That's very good. By the same token, Temple Bethel on Hamilton Street celebrating its 50th anniversary here in town. So obviously, Father Doug gave sage words to the residents there. Mine were not quite so wise, but it's always a pleasure to see him. School has started. Let's drive carefully. And honors to the students, faculty, staff, and administration. And I think that is all that I have for now. I would say for words like softball, but I think the deputy mayor is going to cover things like that. So that concludes the mayor's report. So Deputy Mayor Kramer, have you something?
I thought we're moving to the council comments, and then we would do, I'm sorry, I might as well just go, and not have council comments. So, okay, I wasn't ready. So one thing, we have, for anyone who wasn't watching last time, we have decided to put these meetings on the web, so you can watch them at any time you want. Go to our website, and we're in the agenda area, and you can find a couple of past meetings and this current meeting. And I've asked the clerk if she could, on the agenda, on the quick update afterwards, annotate the times that we start each item. So that way, if you just want to jump to a particular ordinance and see what happened on that, you can do a little math and figure out about how far into the video to go to do that. Let's see if I can get, yes, if the videographer could show the screen for the video camera, for the video projector. Ms. Sherman and I were at the Ukrainian Center a couple weeks ago for the 21st anniversary of independence for the Ukraine. She and I got to speak. This is a picture of Natalia, who hosted us there. We were honored with, not we personally, but they provided dance, Ukrainian dance, and it was really quite an enjoyable time. The next item that the mayor alluded to that I wish to speak about is a softball game. This is really the brainchild of Bob LaCourte, the Republican chair, but he's doing this more as the commissioner of softball for the 50s and over league, and he's thought about this for a long time and has finally put it together, and I've been helping him put it together. On Sunday, September 23rd, there will be a baseball game between the all-stars of the 50 and over softball league, so I guess it's a softball game, and the police force. It's all for charity. There'll be no admission, but it'd be wonderful if you donated to the food bank or brought in some non-perishable canned goods, so that that will honor, or that will help the food bank. There's relatively limited seating at Lower Inman Park, so you might want to bring your own chair. And it's September 23rd at noon, and then on the winner of that will receive their trophy at the Canal Fest. I'll be providing a trophy for them at 12:15 on October 6th, but the Canal Fest starts at 11 o'clock and goes till 5 o'clock. Last time it was a great success, perhaps 1,000 people were there. There'll be live music, kids, games, canoe rentals, craft vendors. Mr. Metler will give an historic talk. I heard President Obama will be there, so will the Queen of England, and Christopher Columbus will come down. Oh, no, wait, No, I've heard, no, those were canceled. But no, it was a lot of fun, a lot of food vendors, and please join us. And then the last thing, I'm done with this screen. Actually, rather than focusing the camera at me, we have here a piece of steel from the World Trade Center that Councilman Prasad was instrumental in providing for the town, and that will eventually be part of a memorial. And I thought it applicable or fitting. The original September 11th, 2001 was a Tuesday night, and it was a council meeting that night. And Mr. Metler read the invocation, and I thought I would just read that as an historical note to that evening. And what he said was, "Dear God, our sure and present help in times of trouble, tonight we pray to you with perhaps more earnest than usual for our beloved country that has been attacked. The 11th of September has indeed become a day of 9/11. The World Trade Center, those proud towers that symbolize our economic strength, is no more. The Pentagon, which since the last World War has symbolized our military might, has been severely damaged. These are but structures that can and will be replaced. What grieves us most is the human cost that has accompanied this tragedy. We pray especially for our ordinary citizens going about their daily business, meaning no harm to anyone. We pray for their families. We pray for the brave firefighters and police who, in trying to save lives, gave their own. And we pray for their families. We pray also for the rescue and recovery workers who will have long days and nights ahead in an increasingly heartbreaking task. We grieve also for the lost sense of our own security, for the world will never, ever seem exactly the same again. We are a country that craves and expects safety, from fire codes to seatbelt laws, but as we have seen, we live in an unsafe world. Lord, we are angry at the people who have done these things to us, who have so callously harmed the innocent. May we, however, be measured in our anger rather than overcome by it, and that our response be more than just the actions of those who have wronged us. Lastly, Lord, even in the tragedy, there is much that we can be grateful for. We are grateful to live in a country that pulls together in times of crisis. We are grateful to have the strength and spirit to overcome adversity, and we are grateful that in the end, the just will prevail. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We now are at number 9 on our agenda. Again, anyone who's come, you can feel free to get agendas and associated resolutions, ordinances by our clerk, Ms. McCarthy. We have standing committee reports, which are 5 standing committees. A representative of each will give us a report. They will be administration, financial oversight, public safety, land use, open space, parks and recreation, and public works. So first we've got administration. Do you want giving us a report, administration committee? Councilman Prasad?
No.
I'm sorry.
We're about to have a meeting this week.
Councilwoman Sherman?
So we'll be prepared to give an update at the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And next, financial oversight. Yep. Deputy Mayor Kramer.
So given the hour and the long meeting, and since the meeting was only attended by the mayor and myself, I'll wait till next month to give a report.
Okay, thank you. And C, public safety. Anyone from public safety want to do?
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. It's usually someone else who reports, so I apologize, but...
No, fine. Getting good info anyway. And D, land use, open space, parks and recreation.
We have a meeting coming up.
Councilman Wright.
We have a meeting coming up, so no report at this meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And E, public works.
We have a meeting
Councilman Chase.
scheduled for Tuesday of next week.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Chase. Okay, so now we come to council comment.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Deputy Mayor Kramer, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Vornlocker was good enough to remind me about two things we did discuss that needs all of council input in order for them to proceed. As people know, we have a hiring freeze that was enacted a couple of years ago by council, and so staff asks, even when someone leaves, so there's attrition, they ask council before they hire to fill that attrition. So there's been attrition in Public Works of, Mr. Vornlocker, how many?
Two. There was a truck driver and an equipment operator.
Well, let me correct that. Two. There was a truck driver and an equipment operator who retired, and we're looking to backfill those positions with much lesser paid laborer positions.
And how long ago did they retire?
Within the last couple months that both of them have retired.
Okay, and then it was more than a year ago that the third of three secretaries retired in the police force, and they're asking for one of those positions. What we have in the current situation are police officers getting a relatively high salary, doing some of these secretarial jobs, such as when they write tickets and other things, moving them along as we are required to move them along. So this will, it's not going to directly save money, but it's a more efficient use of an officer's time. I personally would prefer an officer being out on the street than doing paperwork. So we are basically being asked for one secretarial position and two public works positions. And that needs full council comment to pass. So thank you for reminding me, Mr. Vornlocker.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yeah, I do have a question. Why are you not able to backfill those positions in Public Works? Pardon me, have you had significant layoffs there prior or attrition? How far down is that department?
That department is down a considerable number from where it was back in 2008 when we first began to not backfill.
Right.
When we lost through either people leaving or people retiring. At this point, these positions are necessary just to continue the basic functions of Public Works.
Mm-hmm.
So the backfilling has occurred recently through this type of form where the council considers it as a whole after it's initially considered at finance oversight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can assume there is no meat left on the bone.
There's no meat left on the bone at all. I don't know if there's still a bone there, to be perfectly honest with you.
All right, okay.
The Public Works is at its barest minimum that it can be and still function.
And so this is necessary to do the basic,
Patch the roads, mow the lawn,
Right.
plow the snow basics, yes.
And these are not adding positions.
These are not adding
Understood,
positions. This is
understood.
just to maintain current staffing.
understood. I just want to make sure we're not doing something against what we decided not to do. I want to make sure it's very necessary, so people watching here, this council meeting understand that this is being done because of a severe shortage of staff.
Absolutely. The cuts that have taken place over the last several years in Public Works were significant as far as the manpower was concerned, so that we've gone down in big numbers on personnel from 2008 to present, so.
So I'd like to make a motion that we allow the manager to hire two public works people, and I'm not sure who actually technically hires the police force secretary, whether it's the manager.
The manager hires that
Okay.
position as well.
But essentially allow for the staff to hire those positions. That is my motion.
Okay. And a second for that?
Second it.
Moved and seconded. No, good point on the clarification for one of those positions, very good. Okay, any other discussion? If not,
Yes.
Councilman Wright, please.
How many men are we down in Public Works?
I didn't have a number.
I believe it's in the neighborhood of 20 from where we were in 2008. There's about 20 less employees in Public Works than there were then. We did not fill for several years as people retired and left.
And there you go. Yeah.
Okay, any other? Thank you, that's a good point also. Oh, Councilwoman Francois?
Given the fact that I'm just hearing about this now, and I know I'm on the finance oversight and was not able to make that meeting, I don't know that I can vote wholeheartedly and make a decision about how we need to go forward. And one of the things that concerns me, I'm not saying that there's not a need, but right now we have an acting manager, we don't have a manager. And so we're at the onset of looking at changing leadership, and I'm thinking it'd be nice to have the new leadership come in and make those decisions and make a case for that, as opposed to doing this currently, because we may be talking about, 1 or 2 more months, and if we've been at the bare bones, we can survive the bare bones for another couple months. And the other comment I want to make is, with each administration, they come in with their own philosophy and thought process on how things should be done. And so I know when Ken Daly was here, Mr. Daly was here, we did a lot of layoffs and we did a lot of the things that, quite frankly, it may be, in hindsight, we have to question why we did it, but I think, I'm just at a point where I don't know that I can vote.
Early the secretary.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me? I don't know that I can vote on this and feel as if I'm making an informed decision on the fly right now.
Okay. Okay, any other? I'll make my comments, I'll put on my shoulders a little bit. Because we discussed in financial oversight, maybe I should have suggested that we let all the council know where we're coming from beforehand, so you'd have a better insight into it. So I'll take that upon myself, because you make a good point about, the new manager and this being put in front of you at this point.
I'm sorry. Got a question.
Councilman Wright, please.
Now, we're down 20 people from at our high point, and we just had 2 retirees. And they're looking to backfill those two retirees because of what we're doing and how we're moving along. Now, there comes at a point where you can cut to the bone and maybe take a chunk out of it. But at the end of the day, you're going to need the people to do some work. And I don't care. I mean, I'm a taxpayer. And when I go to the Board of Health Commission and meetings and holler about the fact that there are weeds growing on the sides of the street, when things are as bad as that, little things, you probably don't see them, but if you looked at them, you say to yourself, we're the 25th best city in the country, USA, whatever, and you got crap like this growing. Now, it might not seem like a big issue, but it is to me, because I live over in the 4th Ward, and every time I drive out my house, I got to say, gee, who owns this property? The Board of Ed, the local homeowner. I got leaves, I got grass, I got all kinds of stuff, I got bushes. And for us to sit here, and again, this is my pocket, so I can talk about it. This is my pocket. We need to hire those 2 people. Give the manager authority to hire those 2 people. And here's a recommendation for the Financial Oversight Committee. Find out through this township what our attrition rate is. How many people we have not hired who have, whose place that we haven't backfilled over the last 3 years or so, whenever we started to not hire. And listen, if you're going to live in the best place in town, but yet drive around town and realize this place is falling apart, that's just my feeling. I might be a little wrong on this one. And my constituents in my neighborhood, the 4th Ward, they will definitely call me on the telephone. They will send me emails if I'm off base. But no, No. Hire those two people as you know, whatever.
I'm sorry, can you not hear us?
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Councilman Wright, and I appreciate that. And also, I just want to reiterate, I don't want a police officer filing when he can be out on the street. These are not new positions. We are refilling positions. We had a situation where we said, don't hire anyone, and now that's going on for 4 years. I don't think you can continue that for 4 years. Staff is very circumspect about coming to us and requiring and requesting things, and requesting these kind of positions. At Financial Oversight, they made a very good presentation about it, and I think the positions need to be filled, when we hire a new manager or not. I've been pushing to get a new manager in as quickly as possible. There's been some delays on that. I don't know how further delayed it will be, but I agree with Mr. Councilman Wright, and I think these are things we need to have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilman Prasad, then Councilman Chase.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's penny wise, pound foolish, to put public safety, compromise on that when you can have better public safety with the police officer out in the street rather than filing. Secondly, backfilling is not really, something that is an additional cost that's being incurred. It's just an already budgeted item that's already in place. So Public Works is just as important on the streets. We can't have the potholes and things like that and let the whole town go, berserk. And so I would agree with Councilman Wright, and, let's go ahead and replace these people ASAP.
So go ahead and call the vote.
Okay?
We're at a point where we can vote.
Yeah.
Councilman Chase. Councilman Chase, go ahead.
I would just say, council decides. The manager, the acting manager, the department chairs can recommend. Council decides. I don't see council putting off that decision any longer just because we're waiting to get a new permanent manager. If the Financial Oversight Committee has been convinced that we should fill these positions, then I would go along with that. And after all, there's a point at which you just can't do the job that the citizens expect if we continue to not fill positions. And this is very limited filling, and certainly the idea of hiring a secretary in the police force instead of having a sworn police officer doing secretarial work makes sense.
Okay, and I'll just put in a comment too. And I know we need these people, and that's where I'm heading on this. But I understand I had the unfair advantage of being in the Financial Oversight Committee. I could question the police. I could question the department head over Public Works. So what I'll endeavor to do, just myself next time, is put it as a discussion or get council information ahead of time so that it's a significant vote expending of money and personnel and change of policy. So again, I'll put on myself unless someone else takes that. I understand. Okay. If nothing else, Ms. McCarthy, please pull the council on hiring the 3 people as defined. A yes is to hire, no not. So if you could do that, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois? How many police were we talking about? Or admin people for the police?
1 police secretary.
1 police secretary, and there were 2
And
public
2
works.
laborers.
So I'll say yes for the police secretary and no for the public works.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Kramer.
Yeah, I'll let your last comment go. That is, we do normally, well, I said I'd let it go, so I'll let it go.
It's okay, I
No,
took it
no.
upon myself if you want
No,
to say
no.
anything, go ahead.
No.
It's all right.
So the other issue is, and the other issue is the manager search committee, and we happen to have two people in the room who are very interested in this. But anyway, we have come to the point where we need to meet as a whole council. The clerk sent out a request. We have information. We need to decide on that meeting. Some ideas have been offered, and I propose the 22nd and the 29th, a meeting, screening one person at 10:30, another person at noon on both of those days. Those are both Saturdays.
Okay, so in essence, you're proposing a special meeting with executive sessions during the times you've indicated?
Yes.
If I can interpret it?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, we need a second.
Oh, pardon me.
Second.
Thanks, second, okay. Is there discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Prasad?
Yeah, I plan to be traveling, so I will be out till the 28th, but I do not consider myself that important that you should hold up work and the progress on my account. So I will be back on the 29th, but I won't be there on the 22nd. But please go ahead, and I trust in the wisdom and judgment of my fellow council colleagues. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, so I guess, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the special meeting as delineated by the deputy mayor.
Where are the meetings going to be?
That's a very good point.
So,
Okay, thank
here.
you. Good point.
Okay.
Here.
Okay,
And I guess the structure of the meeting would be essentially opening the meeting, roll call, pledge, et cetera, opening to the public, closing to the public, and then going into executive session for the rest.
and the executive session will be in the municipal building?
Yes, in the large conference.
Okay. Is that enough, Ms. McCarthy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor Kramer, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. So I guess that was under the auspices of standing committee, sort of. So we'll go on to council comments, and we'll go to first Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The deputy mayor stole my thunder. It is a solemn day of remembrance of 11 years ago with 9/11. We do have the beam, but more importantly, there are 6 individuals from Franklin that we lost at 9/11 at the World Trade Center. And I'd like to read their names out. Of course, we've named our street here for firefighter John Collins. So he was one of the first responders that we lost there. And Stephen Joseph, Ganesh Ladkat, Vanessa O. Richards, Jeffrey Robinson, and Cheryl Rosenbaum, whose mother is a friend of mine, Bobby, and our thoughts and prayers are with all those who lost loved ones from Franklin. We do have a plan to build a memorial. The plans are all in place. The estimate of the memorial, it's going to be by the library. It was a bipartisan effort to decide on the memorial and the site and the design of it. And now it's just a question of funding. And we actually have funds that we have identified left over at the Veterans Memorial Fund. And so the council will be hearing about reallocating some of those leftover funds to get this memorial built. And I can assure you that by next year, much before that, we should have this memorial built and ready. So, and beyond that, I'd just like to comment on the police and my kudos to the chief, Larry Roberts, for his diversity and the promotion of women to lieutenants and sergeants. It's about high time that we did that. And also the swearing in of George Habish, who speaks 2 Arabic languages and is local Franklin native, who grew up here. And Neil Patel, of course, I'm delighted that, we finally have an Asian Indian police officer with close to 20% of the population in town being Asian. It's, high time that we had somebody who spoke the language and understood them. So my kudos again to Chief Larry Roberts for all his effort in diversity and equality for women. And as I said, I will be out and not here at the meeting on the 24th. And finally, to all my Jewish friends, happy Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Theodore Chase.
The main comments I have are really some response to comments from the public. In particular, I wanted to respond to Ms. Saba's questions about the procedure and the taking of time by council people in answering questions. I mean, one problem is somebody will come in and make an impassioned statement with questions in it and then sort of point to the council and say, in essence, say, well, are you going to answer me or are you cowards? So naturally, in situations like that, we tend to answer, even if it takes up time. And on the other hand, and happily you are an exception to this, a lot of people come in and make a statement and then leave, as Ms. Goldie has. You, thank heavens, have stayed to hear an answer here. So these are 2 reasons why council may tend to answer right away, even within a person's time, and we really need to have a way that the public person's time can be sort of held while council answers.
I can stop the timer. I can stop the timer when you guys answer.
Exactly. That's what we need to do. The other thing I wanted to respond to you about is the bridge over the canal at DeMott Lane, which is in no way a township responsibility or anything that the township can do anything about. Every time I see someone from the Canal Commission, I ask about when is that bridge going to get rebuilt? And I think the problem is that initially they thought they could rebuild the bridge on the original footings, abutments, and then they sent a diver down to inspect the underwater part of the abutments, and they found, no, we need to do more work here, which meant that the engineers had to go back to square one to further design it. But it will happen. It has not been forgotten. I certainly make it my job to make sure it doesn't get forgotten. And I did want to say to Sue Goldie about the Franklin Inn, and I think she has heard from various people, as we heard from Mr. Raynone tonight. The problem is that, in particular, staff from Mr. Raynone down through the planning department are very concerned that the township should not take on a liability of absolutely unknown size, and the theory being, I guess, that even if we take only part of the property and then somebody across Amwell Road finds contamination that is traceable to the Yonka site, they'll sue us as well as suing the Yonkas, and because we have money and the Yonkas don't have money, that's where the suit will fall. So that's why we're trying to be so careful about this. One site that was tested previously between the Franklin Inn and the bridge tender's house did come up with some contamination. They just chose the site because there seemed to be some evidence that there had been a structure there. I asked Mr. Metler, and as usual, he knew that there had been such and such a store there which burned down sometime between 1914 and 1923. I don't see how that could have contributed the kind of contamination they claim to find there, but it has to remain a concern. I think one of the issues is we could probably escape the liability if we picked up the Franklin Inn and moved it to another site. The 2 points, on the one hand, to Ms. Goldie and Ms. Tenbrook, they're horrified that we would move it because that would lose the historic significance of the exact site. Although, on the other hand, it's also a site which floods. And on the other hand, staff says, well, in moving it, you might disturb the ground, and that might cause somebody to sue us for causing contamination. And I think we need advice from a real expert, a licensed site remediation professional, in trying to work our way through all of these problems. And it is certainly a problem which Councilman Kramer and I have both spent considerable time on. It is really an incredibly difficult problem to see just how we're going to save the Franklin Inn, and we know how important it is. A final comment I see at the end of our agenda, award bid for the repaving of Coppermine Road. And I know I've heard from residents on Coppermine Road how much it needs repaving. I think, although I haven't seen this specifically, I think this also includes repaving in the village of Kingston of Union Street and Shore Drive, which also need it. So if anybody from any of those locations is watching, if you've heard that we're taking another step forward, I'll find out as soon as possible when the work is likely to start. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Carl Wright.
Good evening, and I'm going to be very, very brief. On Saturday, September the 15th, having had cancer and being a cancer survivor, the Renaissance Community Development Credit Union is having their annual bike-a-thon at the Renaissance Credit Union parking lot at 55 Fuller Street in Somerset. That's our finish line and our start line. Saturday, as I said, on the 15th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. They have a 50-mile ride, a 30-mile ride, a 10-mile ride, and a 3-mile ride. And this year, I am in the 10-mile ride. I am riding my bike to support prostate cancer awareness because at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, they're giving away free prostate screenings. So it's important that everyone get that type of screening, to get that checkup. And I'm riding in the bike ride. So some of my council members have donated to the bicycle ride, and I want to thank you for donating. I would say I would like to be the largest producer for the bike ride, but I'm going to give it a couple years and see how it works out. But I will be in the bike ride. Come along and cheer me along. It'll be an uphill battle, but we will see it through. Other than that, have a beautiful week. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. sir. Councilwoman Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know how painful the images of 9/11 have been for me, and I can just imagine how painful it is to the families of our community who suffered the highest loss. So my heart goes out to them, and I'm sure everyone here on the council feels the same way, as well as everyone else who lost a loved one in this terribly tragic situation. From pain to pride, there was great pride in seeing what we had this evening with the appointment and promotion of police officers. It was extremely well done, and again, kudos to our police chief for the diversity that he has continued to bring to the police force and the high quality of the people that he has recruited. So it's been a very mixed bag so far. The Ukrainian Independence Day celebration, just a plug for them. My goodness, if you can go there next year, it was $10 to go, but the entertainment was outstanding, outstanding. It's a nice night out. So when it comes up again next year, please make an effort to go there. Just wanted to also mention one part about the historic preservation issues. And I know Miss Goldie, and we've been friends for a long time, but she used the word, you've got to use common sense. Well, she was saying that we have to use common sense. But on the other hand, I just want to remind everybody, we're spending, in the next 3 years, we're going to spend over $1 million in the restoration of historic homes or structures in this township. That's a lot of money. And we have to make sure, and I understand the historic value of the Franklin, and I 100% agree that that is the prime building that we have to preserve. But maybe common sense says we have to move that building. We have to move it so that it is not in a flood zone and not on a piece of property that we could eventually have some significant impact on for every single taxpayer in this town. So maybe I'm not a historian, I'm a practical business person, but I think there has to be common sense on both sides of the issue. Also wanted to just bring you up to date. I have mentioned a few times a program that I'm working on with the township, which is potentially a jobs training program that would be something from the township, something from the school, and something from the New Jersey Manufacturing Association. I made a contact with someone from that organization, and we did finally get to meet with the superintendent of schools and the new principal at the high school, and there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm to move forward with this. So thank you to the schools for being open to this idea. Now, Mr. Lodestat and I need to work out a plan to get to the companies and start a process where they would open their doors. These are manufacturing companies in Franklin Township, and believe it or not, in today's economy, these are jobs going wanting because a lot of young people don't look to manufacturing. Everyone is geared to go to college, and not everybody is really wanting to go to college, or really, that's not their future. There are jobs in manufacturing that definitely need to be filled, and we need to show our youth those opportunities and give them at least that choice. And I think that takes care of my council comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like so many Americans today, I received emails from friends and constituents, from people reflecting on that awful day 11 years ago, when so much of what we hold dear seemed to unravel. And with the perspective of a decade that has passed, much of that communication was rational reflection, and so was mine, and very agonizing nevertheless. But let us be reminded how resilient we are as a country and as Americans. And I think, as the councilwoman said, today was about sorrow and also pride. And the fact that we had 13 promotions with the diverse representation of women and the new hire of Asian descent. 4 lieutenants, 6 sergeants promoted, and 3 new hires. I think today was a very glorious day, a day of celebration as well, and it certainly reminded us of how resilient we are as Americans. And I want to say, may God continue to bless America, and may God bless our wonderful, fine police force we have here in Franklin Township and their families. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, very nice. Deputy Mayor Phil Kramer.
I want to again congratulate the police officers, remember the day 9/11, and the issue on the public speaking is what we had decided some time ago was that everyone gets 5 minutes, and if you want to ask a question and have it answered while you're standing there so you could have a discussion, then that would come out of your time. So I would not ask the clerk to stop the clock unless we want to change our policy. Or you could speak for the entire 5 minutes and then wait, as you nicely do, for us to answer at the end. So that's part of why that happens. And happy Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and any other holidays between now and the next event. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I said things earlier, so I don't need to make any comments further at this point. So we now come to, and we did item number 11 earlier, Regional Growth Strategy Roadshow. So now we come to item number 12. We have many minutes of meetings here, and bear with me while I read through them quickly. We have minutes of Executive Session, February 22nd, 2011, Reorganization Meeting, January 3rd, 2012, Special Meeting, March 6th, 2012, Work Session Regular Meeting, March 13th, 2012, Executive Session, March 13th, 2012, Executive Session, May 22nd, 2012, Work Session Regular Meeting, June 12th, 2012, Executive Session, June 12th, 2012, Work Session Regular Meeting, June 26th, 2012, Executive Session, June 26th, 2012, Work Session Regular Meeting, July 10th, 2012, Executive Session, July 10th, 2012, 2 sessions indicated, 2 sessions are included from that date. Special Meeting, July 24th, 2012, Work Session Regular Meeting, August 14th, 2012, Executive Session, August 14th, 2012. Is there a motion for the aforementioned minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
Oh, second.
Moved and seconded. If no discussion, since instead of going through all these, okay, with the clerk, if someone can just generally say to you, if this is their preference, yes for the meetings I was at, abstain for the meetings I was not, that's okay?
Yes.
Okay, then that could just make it, so you don't have to list each one separately.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on approval of the minutes.
Councilman Chase?
I just feel I want to abstain on it all because I can't possibly read that many minutes for one meeting.
Councilwoman Francois?
It is a little bizarre, Anne Marie, to have all these at one time. Was there a reason for that?
I was just trying to catch up because there's still a few more meetings from when I was out that Ginny did that we need to catch up.
Yeah, I resonate with Councilman Chase, but I will say yes. I read them. I couldn't remember everything, but yes, for the ones that I was there, and I'll abstain for the ones that I was not.
Deputy Mayor Kramer? Yes. Mayor Levine?
Yes on the ones I was there, abstain if I were away on any of them. I don't think so, but just in case.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes, I was there for all the meetings till now, this year. So the 24th will be the first one I would miss. Thank you.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes for those that I attended and abstain from the one, I believe there's one that I was not present for.
Councilman Wright?
Yes to every last one of them.
Okay, think it's carried there. Okay, thank you. So now we have item number 13, approval of the warrants. The warrants are the bills that we pay. So warrants in the amount of $17,335,050.13 on September 11, 2012 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
So moved.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer? Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay. Now we have our ordinance hearings, of which we have 5 this evening. Usually ordinances are voted on twice. The first time they're voted for introduction, and then usually around a month later, they're voted on a second time. At that second one, there's a public hearing, meaning anyone can speak on them if he or she likes. And if they're passed that second time, then they go into law. So the first of these is item 14A on our agenda, ordinance 3986-12. It's an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 226, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 226-25, bus stops along Hamilton Street. What this does is allow certain certain bus stops along Hamilton Street and along the bus routes. It allows them. It doesn't necessarily put them in or build them, but it paves the way for that, which I suspect will happen fairly shortly with the help of Hamilton Street Business District, the county, and the municipality. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone who wants to speak on this ordinance, please raise your hand. Yes, sir. It's on the bus route thing, right, Mr. Holsinger? Absolutely. Please come forward.
Again,
And-
Steve Holsinger, 89 Sydney Place. I just want to commend you on that. Those
Sure.
bus stops will be for my buses. So I just
All right.
commend you on that. That's a wonderful thing because we're having a hard time, especially with the kids that are going to Raton Valley Community College. We now run a bus up Hamilton Street. That's destination is Raton Valley Community College, and they have a hard time, some of them getting on the bus. It's tough. There's no bus stop, so it's tough for them. You know, right now we're picking them up behind Walgreens, and it's kind of difficult, and some of them are missing it. But that would be a tremendous help to us, those bus stops, and I just want to thank you.
Oh, thank you for the information, sir. Anyone else who would like to speak on this ordinance?
Seeing no one else come forward, I move to close the public section of the
Seconded.
meeting.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved. Second. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 14A, ordinance 3986-12, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. The second of our ordinance hearings is item 14B on the agenda, ordinance 3987-12. It's an ordinance authorizing the execution and filing of an amendment to the deed of easement to extinguish development rights and to maintain historic preservation of property known and designated as Block 5.02, Lot 119.01, also known as the Higgins House. This is this means is the Higgins House in Kingston wants to allow therapeutic massage, which they do now, and allow it for space in the back, which would have access to handicapped persons. It's a separate location, but it's in the back, so we're approving it. The Kingston Village Advisory Committee has approved of this usage. So is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for a public hearing on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no one's coming forward, I move we close this portion of the public discussion.
Second it.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed on this on this ordinance, pardon me, thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 14B, ordinance 3987-12, please.
Councilman Chase?
Well, I wish I'd hung tough and followed the request of the Kingston Village Advisory Committee to ask for taking down those hanging signs that they put up, but I didn't. I'll vote yes. The sidewalk that is called for is really important. We're trying to get a sidewalk out to the shopping center.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine? Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried, thank you. Their next ordinance hearing is item 14C, ordinance number 3988-12. It's a bond ordinance providing for the acquisition and installation of access control and surveillance systems for various municipal facilities by and in the Township of Franklin in the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, reappropriating $450,000 in excess bond proceeds from bond ordinance number 3606, not needed for their original purpose, to finance the cost thereof. This is for a security system for the municipal building. When we bonded for a trunked radio system several years ago, there were funds that were not spent, so this is being reprogrammed for our security system. It will not entail any extra acquisition of funds because we're kind of moving it over. And it does relate to a couple items on the consent agenda also, which I think it's 15. Okay, my numbers changed since I looked at it. A couple items on the consent agenda which relate to this also. So
Item M, I think.
yeah, okay. I think you're right, Councilman Chase.
Ellen,
Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this particular ordinance?
So moved.
Second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public hearing on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing nobody coming forward, I move that we close the public session.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed on this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 14C, ordinance 3988-12, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
I have to abstain, because I don't really understand why there doesn't need to be a certain testing criteria for this, and I just didn't do my due diligence on this one, so I have to abstain. I'll vote no, because I don't understand it.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay. Motion is carried. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's bond, so that's 6, so we're good on that. Okay. Item 14D, ordinance 3989-12, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 206, soil removal and deposit, Section 206-24, proof of compliance with soil cleanup criteria, and Section 206-28, responsibility for obtaining permits. What this basically does is change our soil importation ordinance. So it's basically, and help me out if I'm off, if it's inspected, it used to be every 500 cubic yards, now it would be every 1,000 cubic yards. Unless it's from an approved quarry, then no testing would be needed at all. It's basically trying to be a business-friendly maneuver so things can be built a little more quickly and efficiently. So is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public hearing on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing nobody coming forward, Mayor, I move that we close the public section.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed on this ordinance. Thank you. The motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 14D, ordinance 3989-12, please.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
I have to say, I was one ahead of everybody. But, so when I voted for no, the last time I thought I was voting for no for this, but he just explained it to me, so I'll say yes. I was one ahead of everybody. I don't know how that happened.
Okay.
I didn't understand the criteria that was being removed from the soil cleanup. That's why I said I couldn't vote on it, because I didn't understand it, and he just explained it to me.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have the fifth and final of our ordinance hearings for this evening. It's item 14E on the agenda, ordinance number 3990-12. It's an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. More particularly, you know what? I'm going on the, take two. I'll just start it over. An ordinance of the Township of Franklin, you figure I'd have it down by this point, but okay. An ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing acceptance of waterline easements and emergency access and driveway easement in connection with summer fields at Franklin LLC, docket number PLN 2006-00030, block 516.01, lots 4.14 and 4.17, and block 516.09, lot 54. And this is standard easements for the town for summer fields at Franklin. That's new development being built kind of close to where Canal Walk is. The township attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is in order. The motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing nobody coming forward, I move to close the public discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed on this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 14E, ordinance 3990-12, please.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have our ordinance introductions. We only have one this evening. This is 15A on the agenda, ordinance 3991-12, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly, Chapter 226, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 226-10, stopping or standing prohibited during certain hours, add Marshall Street. This is basically Marshall Street. It's kind of close to Route 27, closer to New Brunswick. It's for no stopping or standing on that road, basically because it's too narrow of a road on which to park. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing, and final adoption on Monday, September 24th, 2012, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on introduction of 15A on the agenda, ordinance 3986-12, please.
Point of order.
Oh,
Discussion.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Discussion.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Um,
Discussion.
Mr. Vornlocker, I'm just wondering, has it been paved already and it's waiting for this?
It has been paved, and it's complete, and it was built at a spec that required no parking based on its width according to the residential site improvement standards.
And the problem is that the trucks going in there to get to the meat market, I mean, it's a very short, nothing of a street.
It is, but however, because of what the requirements are for roadway width and parking, we're required to make it no parking now based on its width and its new construction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Okay. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on 15A Ordinance 3991-12 for introduction, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have our consent agenda, items A through X. The consent agenda is generally items of a basic routine nature that the council can vote on in one vote. It's any council person's prerogative to take anything off for a separate vote. So, the items 16A through 16X, as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for adoption, discussion?
Motion for adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is, any discussion? Okay. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the consent agenda items 16A through 16X, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we now have item number 17, and I will step aside figuratively for Deputy Mayor Kramer.
This is a resolution to be voted on separately. Resolution 12-424, authorize stipulation of settlement tax appeal, Jonas Realty, 1075 Easton Avenue, years 2009 through 2012, is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Any discussion?
Yeah, just briefly, and I appreciate you doing this. This is, we're just to be very specific, this is the address at which my CPA practice is located. So my rent is not contingent on anything that happens here, but it's the tax appeal settlement, and just to avoid any appearance of conflict, I'm not going to vote on this. And Deputy Mayor, thank you very much for doing the vote on it.
No sweat. Unless there's other discussion, Madam Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Abstain.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we now come to item number 18, old business. We have board and commission appointments listed in East Millstone First Aid and Rescue Squad building. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman Sherman.
I would like to nominate Michael Dolan as a member of the Franklin Township Cultural Arts Council on the steering committee.
Okay.
And his resume is in your packet, or was in the... Oh, that, okay.
I'm guessing you're taking the account.
Yeah, she does 3 years.
Okay, so on item number 7, the nomination is for Michael Dolan, pardon me, for a term on the Cultural Arts Council expiring December 31st, 2012. Any other nominations for this position? Okay, all in favor of Mr. Dolan by acclamation, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain? Motion is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Dolan. Thank you, Councilwoman Sherman, for bringing him to us. Any other nominations? Or is there anything else on East Millstone, since that's there? Okay. If not, we started an executive session earlier, and which we're going to go back to since that was not done. We have a resolution asking a resolution for an executive session for the item of litigation E&J equities. Is there a motion for, to go into executive session for this item?
So moved.
Second.
I should say as indicated on the resolution. Okay, moved and seconded. And before I go to the vote, just in case you're seeing it now, executive session is where the council meets privately. There's only certain areas such as litigation, personnel matters, and when the subject of that discussion no longer needs to be kept private, those minutes will be made public. So, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the resolution for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kramer?
Yep.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. What's going to happen now is we're going to adjourn over there. Well, not adjourn. We're going to go over to the conference room on the side and have our executive session. When the executive session is over, only two things will happen. We will come out, and number one, we will vote to come out of executive session, and number two, we will vote to adjourn. So no further business except those items will be transacted. Because of that, we will end our taping now. And good luck, goodwill to all. Thank you very much.